Arise, giving all praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the balanced universes. We extend the highest of honors to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? We extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam? We extend high honors as well to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green 5-pointed star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam? We give honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. Some would say the mercantile trading banner. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you the Moors with compound interest. Islam? Giving honors to Noble Sheik staff and Sheik his staff. Giving honors to the Noble Vanguard staff for keeping peace, and giving honors to you, the Hills and Bays, for without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam? How's everyone on the holy night? Praise Allah, praise Allah. First I want to commend Sister Lamadia Bey for acting Sheik as Sister Lamadia Bey, for demonstrating her portion of understanding. One of the things that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, when he set this movement up, he wanted the sisters to have a strong voice. When we say Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that's not something we just say. The things he set in motion when he was in the physical form predicted an era of time that was to come that did not take place in his era that he was in, right? So, and when he set up the 15 temples, all right, he traveled around the country when there was no, national highways, 285, 20, 75, 85, none of this existed. So he's traveling around on the back road establishing temples. By him putting the sisters up front and giving them a voice, in the society he was in, people looked at him like, why you got women speaking? When women's place is in the home, they're supposed to be seen and not heard, this and that. The Prophet's like, you don't know where we come from, these sisters have something to say, right? So at the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you had grand sheikesses, heads of temples, grand governesses, heads of states, so on and so forth. So that's how our movement started off. So, we'll be remiss in our duties, as Moorish American Muslims, to not have our sisters, do what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali set them up to do, is to tell from y'all's experience, because y'all have so much more that y'all don't even tell us that you've been through, right? And when you begin to speak from that strength, it can begin to heal our nation. Much of, the incomplete aspect of our nation comes as a result of the fact that it's solely men at the head. That's a fact. You can't rule with just one polarity. You need both polarities. In other words, if you lift up the hood of your car, right, and you unhook one of the terminals for your battery, will your car start? Right? So, they're positive and negative, right? So we consider negative to be wrong or evil. So let's unhook the negative one and see if you get some life. You won't, right? You need both poles in order to have that, to generate that life. Islam? Right? Just to set the stage for what I like to demonstrate, I want to create some parameters, okay? And these parameters are not established by myself. They're established by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because you can't begin to raise a people, right, without letting them know the width and the breadth of the work that they're called to do. Islam? All right? This is known as the Charter of the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right? This acts as our dispensation, or our warrant of authority that gives us the authority to do our work. Okay? Those who've never seen it, the emblems that are written around, inscribed around, we refer to affectionately as the 10 wonders of the world. All right? Here you have the camel, which is specifically a back-trained camel. All right? The pyramids of Giza, the fez. Under the fez it says figure number 1. Right? The hand press, because Moors don't shake hands, we press hands. It's different. Right? Some would say the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. Right? Star and crescent, circle 7, the lion and the lamb, and the sphinx. Right? Each one of these, comprise a degree of understanding that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali reveals to you, and as you unfold in your knowledge of Islamism or your nationality, as it begins to unfold via your membership of the Moorish Science Temple of America, each one of these opens up to another degree of understanding. All right? So now, it reads, Charter, Moorish Science Temple of America, to all whom these presents may come, greetings, the Home Office. By virtue of the authority vested in the Most Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and the Moorish Science Temple of America, by a lawfully granted charter of the state of Illinois, has granted this charter to this branch of the Moorish Science Temple of America at 394 Cleveland Avenue, Suite D, in the county of Fulton in the state of Georgia, to be styled and known as Moorish Science Temple of America, number 19, invested with all powers and privileges of a subordinate temple within the jurisdiction of said home office. One thing we have to remember, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a lawman, right? But when we say law, we know in a Moorish American comprehension, we say it is not strange there are no happenings. Law governs all events, right? So we're not just merely talking about the law in the courthouse, and we're talking about everything that lives, breathes, and moves. There's a law attached to that, right? So he mentioned the term jurisdiction, okay? He says, jurisdiction aforesaid by virtue of whose authority exists, while acting in conformity with the laws, rules, and regulations of the home temple and the subordinate temple aforesaid, being duly and lawfully organized, constituted, and established, is hereby authorized and empowered to initiate and confer the degrees of said temple in accordance with the established forms and usages upon all such persons as are duly and lawfully qualified to promote and practice the teachings of all the true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. Officers and members who benefit under this charter do hereby pledge themselves to act at all times in obedience to the commands and edicts of the illustrious Noble Drew Ali, the founder and head of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Home Office can at any time suspend, revoke, or take away this charter or warrant of authority if in the judgment of our grand ruler and prophet, Noble Drew Ali, said subordinate temple has violated any of the principles or rules of the Moorish Science Temple of America. In testimony whereof I have hereunto subscribed my name and affixed the seal of the said Moorish Science Temple of America. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam, Moors? Islam. So, what we have is a circumscribed body of law, okay? We have a hedge of protection around us, okay? Okay? The circle is the perfect emblem of man and woman. And number 7 represents the perfection of man and woman, right? What we know as referred to as the temple of the perfected man and woman, right? So now, we have to say, why is Prophet Noble Drew Ali demonstrating all of this about jurisdiction relative to the Home Office, right? Because one thing he did not want his Moors to do is to run amok amongst the affairs of men, all right? Prophet Noble Drew Ali demonstrated was the concept of a society, okay? If you look at the chapter, Sister Lamaghe Bey has demonstrated the chapter of justice. The chapter opens up the peace of society dependent upon justice, right? And it ends, you know, finally, O son of society. So I mentioned it opens with society, it ends with society, okay? So he knows, you know, the prophet knew, all right? All the free national groups that exist in America all have their particular societies relative to their interests, okay? I'll give you an example. With respect to our family, to the, you know, of the Nation of Islam, right? Who are indeed our family. We have a standing alliance with Muhammad Tomas 15B in College Park, it's the family. Mr. Farrakhan gave me a Savior's Day address, as he does every year, on February 26th, just passed, okay? In that particular speech, he rallied pretty hard against the pale Jews, very hard against them. Right now, on the floor of Congress, they have a bill on the floor for vote, ready for vote, to denounce Minister Farrakhan's statements against the Jews. Now, if you know anything about government don't move that fast. Don't move that fast. That bill was already ready, right? But the point is that the Jews that lobbied, that's a master's word, lobbying, right? The Jews that lobbied, they make that happen, all right, are an organized, are already an organized group, right? They're already looked at as contributors to the broader society as a whole, right? Whenever the Jews crack their mouths to act like they want something, it's given, right? Because they, you know, the Jews are looked at as bearing some worth in this nation, okay? If we were to flip that dynamic, and if we were to ask ourselves rhetorically, what worth do the Asiatics of North America have in this nation, right? There's a plan known as the King Alfred plan. Everyone's familiar?
Yes.
Because somebody tell me about the King Alfred, young brother. You tell me about the King Alfred Plan.
Ecocide, genocide, population control due to chemicals in food, processed foods, chemtrails, a legal amount of lead in the water supply. Several other.
Well, those are things that those aren't actually mentioned in the King Alfred Plan.
Oh, okay.
Those are subsequent things that happen as a result.
Okay.
Right.
Well, also the technology for quiet wars.
Quiet weapons for silent wars.
Yes. Quiet weapons for silent.
All right. So what you have is, here's the reason about the King Alfred Plan, just so you have context for it. In the 1960s, after Martin Luther King was assassinated, Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, so on and so forth, right? There was a series of riots across this country, right? The European lost control of the country. That period, some of us are old enough to remember that, right? During that period of time, they didn't have enough jails to lock everybody up, okay? So you had, at one time, between 13 and 25 cities on fire at once, right? One thing about the European, he doesn't like to lose control. He likes to control the situations. Now, is that something that's relative solely to the European? No. If you're in power, you should want to be in control. As the sister demonstrated, and I like to camel back on the measure, the fact that, the first thing if you're going to rule is you have to learn how to rule yourself, right? How crazy, with respect to the office, right? But how crazy does Donald Trump look as president?
Real crazy.
Well, why does he look crazy, brother? What's crazy about it?
In my personal opinion, I feel that he doesn't have the level of integrity to respect the next individual. And his words and his actions and various things like that.
No doubt.
So that's what I would say.
It's powerful. My young brother, what would you say about this particular president that we have? What would you say about it?
Honestly, I don't keep up on them as much as the public does.
Okay.
So I really.
Okay. My sister.
Really wouldn't have much
I'm with the young brother.
Here's the thing about that, though. Here's the thing about that. If you were, we're all about to go for a car ride. Walk into the car. And the person that's going to drive, right, starts showing behaviors that aren't really wise enough to drive, right?
Yeah.
But we all vote to let him drive.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It's insanity.
When he gets in the car and starts swerving and, rolling up herb while he's driving, you know what I mean? Pulling out oxycodone and Percocet, popping them, and you don't have a right at that point to complain that he was wild, because he showed you he was wild before that. So what I'm saying is that a lot of times the prophet tells us to take your place in the affairs of men. See, I know we don't like to look at government, right? Because as our sister said, we view ourselves as basically disenfranchised. We don't really see ourselves as a part of, right? But the problem is, if we don't view ourselves as a part of, right? There are things, whether we view ourselves as a part of, example, how many people drove tonight? Drove, right? At some point, you're gonna have to get some gas, right? Your taxes automatically taken out of that gas. We paying them, but we don't care nothing about government though. But you paying tax. So here's the thing: would you go to Kroger, right? Get a whole bunch of, do your shopping, fill the cart up, put all the stuff on the conveyor belt, pay for it, and walk out without getting your groceries. When we're paying taxes and you don't have a say-so in how that money is allocated, it goes to the next group who's willing to have a say-so. So when we say, this is respectful, because, the whole vibe of the more scientific America is come and let us reason together. That's the vibration. So it's not we don't do the debate thing necessarily, unless the debate has, our passions are circumscribed, right? So at the end of the day, we just walk out as men and women with our dignity, with a new viewpoint. That's what the whole thing is about, right? But the whole thing is we have to start taking our place in those particular areas. Because if not, this is how you get ruled over. You see what I'm saying? The groups that have more influence than us, Mexicans, our family, right?
Yeah.
You have ones of them, for the ones that do, sneak in the country, right? But they know the deal. We have a baby born on those shores, baby's automatically a citizen. Generally, they won't want to put the parents out and leave the baby, right? You have cities like Chicago who've passed laws as sanctuary cities. So Chicago right now, if you make it to Mecca, the holy city of Mecca, Moors have called this in 1925. If you make it to Mecca, you're good. You know what I mean? You know, the government authorities are not going to put you out back to Mexico, in contradistinction to what Trump said, president. Right? So the deal is, you know, you get over here, okay, barely speak the language, because your natural language is Spanish, right? Babies and citizens, you send them to public school to learn the language, right? To learn the infrastructure, to learn everything, right? Meanwhile, you start working on your citizenship, right? What's the process that a foreign national has to go through to become a citizen, a naturalized citizen of the United States of America? What process do we have to go through? Okay, what's the test based on? That's my wife. What's Constitution, constitutional law, Islam? Now, how many of us, I'm talking about average, you know, y'all are the scholars amongst our people, I'm not talking about y'all per se. Because y'all are here. Y'all, you know, you've been doing other things on Friday night.
Yeah.
We used to have a song back in the Friday night, you just got paid. Right? But the average Asiatic, right? If you ask them a constitutional question, couldn't answer.
Of course not.
No.
No.
Now, they were taught in school, though, taught in public school, but see, our approach to it in public school was merely to pass the test and get the grade.
That's right.
Not to better self or society.
That's right.
Right? So if we can't answer constitutional questions, right? Doesn't that kind of like deem us as undesirables? You know what the word undesirable means? Let me give you Prophet neutrality on that word. In an article entitled "A Divine Warning about the Prophet for the Nations," Prophet neutrality says this about the word undesirable. He says, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. So we wonder why, like, you know, young brother gets shot down in the street by an officer, right? Goes to court. Not guilty, boom, have a nice life. You know, get back to work, right? So what do our people do? We protest, march, light some candles, sing some songs, and then go back right to sleep.
And then repeat.
When it happens again. Never getting on the legislative side of it to change the actual laws of it. But see, to do that, you'd have to be a part of it. See, the undesirable aspect of it comes from when something happens, you're packed. In other words, if I'm fighting, brothers know this, if you're fighting, and you mad while you're fighting, how effective are you going to be in your But if the dude you fighting is calculating, knows where to plan on, you done.
It don't matter how mad.
You're done now, right? Let me show you something about these Europeans that, you know, we love to hate, right? Learn to love instead of hate. Not telling you to love them, I'm just saying what our teaching is, right? But it says, you know, but the whole science is, when you look at the Europeans and their wars with us, you know, it hasn't been until recent times that they started defeating us. You know, every time we defeated them, right? Did they get mad and, oh man, we can't stand no more? No. What did they do?
They studied. They got smarter.
Anybody ever heard of West Point?
Yes.
What is West Point system?
I'm thinking about school.
Okay, yeah, it is a school.
Military.
Military academy, right? Who did they study in West Point? In terms of strategy, who did they study? Shaka Zulu?
Is it?
Come on. General Tariq, the one that invaded Spain, only took 7,000 men but conquered 50,000. Come on, that's your forefather, brother. Right? And the interesting part about that, General Tariq did that. Was General Tariq a secular-minded individual? Or was he a devout religious Muslim? Devout, with a big old T on the end. Religious Muslim. Because it was his faith in Allah where he knew he was going to win. To the point where you don't do this unless you have supreme faith in something higher. Sail over, right, across the Straits of Gibraltar. Boats dock, troops get off the boat, line everybody up in, you know, an arrangement, battalions. Look back at the boats, burn the boats. Well, if we burn the boats, we're not gonna be able to get back home. Exactly. We gotta make it work. That's awesome. Islam? Problem is, a lot of times we come to this movement, we haven't burned our boats. A lot of times we still tethered to the European system, just in case what Noble Raleigh was talking about wasn't right, I can still fit in over here. You gotta burn your boats. Islam? Now what does burn your boats mean? Does it mean that you sever your tie with the government? Because again, you'd have to ask yourself, what is the word? We're Moorish American, right? Why are we Moorish American? Speak up, Moabite. Descendants of Moroccans born in America. Same word, Moabite, Moroccan, same word, right? So, who are these Moroccans that we're descended from? Who were they? Tell me something about their culture. Because if I was to ask a Jew, right, tell me something about your Jewish forefathers, right? And can you separate a Jew from his Torah? First 5 books of the Old Testament. Can you separate a Jew from his synagogue? Why? Because what does the synagogue represent for the Jew? Salvation. What else? Freedom. The center of his community. Islam? For a Moorish American Muslim, this is what the temple represents. This is where we plan. This is where we strategize. This is where we coordinate. This is where we raise babies up with this knowledge. This is what, you know, grant generations, right? To go out into society, because everybody has a different sphere of influence, right? I don't know, the sister might be into government. She might have a politician's number in her cell phone, you know? She might be inspired by these teachers. You know what, let me contact this joker over and see if we can get something for the Moors, right? Because that's what every group does. They go in society to go out and get something for their kindred to bring back home, right? Because again, if you don't teach your children before they go to college, what's gonna happen, sister?
They're gonna fail.
Right. And see, here's the thing, right? Let's take the words fraternity and sorority. Let's take those words, right? When you look at Asiatics, their whole political office, right? A lot of times we like to get behind a person just because they look like us, right? And a certain side of that, I can understand that, right? What you don't know is allegiances. You don't know what they're loyal to. I have a book over there. It's a book of, it was a convention of the 33rd, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 33rd degree. And as you flip through there, you're going to see some of your favorite politicians, especially right here in LA. Andrew Young, John Lewis, they all in the 33rd garb on it. To get there, and again, we're not trying to out nobody's secrets, but to get there, you have to take oaths all along the way. Right? A lot of times, those oaths don't have nothing to do with loyalty to your own people.
That's right.
Right? Why is it wrong for our people to be Christian? Anybody know? I'm saying this respectfully to Christianity, because as a Moorish American, we're not allowed to speak radical or agitating against other organized groups. But why is it morally and legally and philosophically wrong to be a Christian for an Asiatic?
Question.
I'm listening, brother. Go ahead.
Is it because not only the Constitution was found on Muslim law? Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, but not only was the Constitution found on Muslim law, but our culture, honestly, for our bloodline, was never to practice those principles.
Okay, and what are the principles of Christianity?
Belief. It's a lot of it is tied into just believing.
Okay.
And with Christianity and the principles of it, it kind of deludes to dogmatic principles versus Islamic principles being real religion, and that's the true divine studies of nature itself.
Okay. So is dogma wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It's a choice.
Right. Well, see, all dogma is a systematic teaching. That's all that is. Right. But the reason why it's wrong because it's not yours.
That's right.
That's one of the first things Noble Raleigh straightened out. Right. And the holy, those who have Qurans. Right. Chapter 46. It's called the beginning of Christianity. you got to know this, right? Because if you don't proclaim your nationality, right? 9 times out of 10, you were born with a particular name. Your parents named you something. What they named you is called a Christian name, right? Now let's get into Christian and what Christian represents. Now who's the head of Christianity globally?
Jesus.
Okay. Who's the spokesperson for Jesus on earth?
The Pope.
The Pope. Okay. Now, which Jesus are we talking about?
We're not talking about Yeshua.
Okay.
We're talking about
Oh, you working, brother? You working?
Jesus
You working?
converted from Zeus
Come on now.
in the Constantinian principles.
Now let's talk about that. Your prophet gave you that in 1928. Let's go. The beginning of Christianity, right? Now, the prophet, real quick before I say this, Jesus of 2,000 years ago taught according to parable,
That's right.
right? It says he never taught a thing unless he taught it in parable. But when you get to the book of Mark, it says that, tells the disciples, he said, to them I speak in parable, but to you I give the inner mysteries of the kingdom of God, right? Because his disciples, they were being initiated into another heaven, another adept teaching, right? Which they didn't master, right? I have many things to tell you, but you cannot bear them. So they didn't finish their lessons. Let's keep that in mind. But beginning of Christianity, verse 1. Now, you got to listen to the language. Anytime you read anything from Noble Drew Ali, it's language. These ain't just regular words. He's doing it according to science. Noble Drew Ali's method of teaching was according to science. What does black mean?
Death.
But how do you phrase the answer? Black, according to science, means death. Right?
Yes.
Let's move forward. The foundation, right, which is a word for basis, right? If you look at that pillar, those pillars behind you, that the scriptures are sitting on, the bottom of that pillar is called a basis, right? That's what the pillars, the pillar is able to be erected on that basis or foundation. The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Okay? So it says the Roman nations. Now, historically, what are the Roman nations?
The Vatican.
Another thing, when you visit our temple, we suggest you take notes.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I don't want you to believe nothing I'm saying. Like this ain't church, okay?
Yeah, I got that.
Respect to the church. On record. They like to twist your stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right? Roman nations.
That known as the Jesuit order, the Vatican.
Papal states. These are the states that were actually created by the Pope. So you got to remember, before the Moors got defeated in 1492, there was no Italy, there was no France, there was no Spain, there was no Germany. They were barbaric tribes, right? With the exception of a few what they call principalities, right? What is a principality? It's a dominion or a territory ruled by a prince, right? Who does the coronation for the prince or the king? The Pope. So the Pope was making kings and queens left and right. You didn't get on the throne unless you came, bowed your knee, and kissed the ring, right? Every Sunday for like the next 3 weeks on CNN, they're doing the history of the popes.
Yeah.
Watch it, they're going in. They're really, breaking down the government of the Vatican and showing you how it came to be, right? Verse 2, Jesus himself, now this is your point, my brother, young brother. Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. That's the Jesus we're talking about, right? He didn't just say of the blood, of the true blood, right? Because there was Canaanites and Moabites, but all of them weren't true blood because there was a lot of mixing going on, right? Y'all are the true blood, the true seed. Islam, you are descendants from this right here, right? Prophet gives you a degree. What was Ruth's nationality?
Moabite.
Ruth was a Moabitess, right? Moab was a nation that sat inside of Canaan, the land of Canaan, which was an empire, right? If I go over to, so this is modern day Israel, right? Go back in time, so many thousands of years ago, they called this Canaan, right? But Canaan was not just this little landmass right here. Canaan was all of this. All of this was Canaan, right? Research the history, you'll see that there were very different nation states set up within the empire. All right? Moving forward. Verse 3. Seeking to redeem, what does the word redeem mean? Redeem is a legal term. Right? Now here's the thing to remember, right? We have a tendency, because we were taught by Europeans, to separate religion and law. Right? Religion and law, the same thing.
This one.
Right? Let me ask you just as food for thought. If the Europeans' system, which I know that doesn't exist, right? But let's say, in our mind state, where we consider that, the European system collapsed tomorrow. Right? The North Koreans invaded. It's over with. We all got to learn North Korean. Everybody's running to fend for themselves and rebuild after some type of war. Right? There's no more U.S. Constitution. There's no Declaration of Independence. There's no statutes, no ordinances. Right? What would you use to rebuild your society? What bodies of law would you use? Would you know what to grab?
Would you know what to grab?
If I had 3 books, I could rebuild civilization. Right?
Yeah.
They're all crushed down and condensed into this book. They're all condensed into here. Right? But just for the intricacies of the law, if I had a Bible, if I had a Koran of Mecca, and I had the Holy Koran in the North Side Temple of America, I could rebuild society. The Bible and the Koran of Mecca represent the letter of the law. What it says is what it means. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You steal, show me the hand you stole it with, and I'm going to get that from you, and then justice is served. Places on the earth where that takes place, I've been to Saudi Arabia, I made my Hajj, brothers I saw walking around. Islam? You go to the areas where they got the jewelry and stuff. Here in America, they put the good gold where? In the shelf, up under the thing with the glass in the front, right? Over there, they got 24 and 22 karat gold out. I'm looking around like, where's the people from stealing? And I say, you met Nabi. Islam is Islam. Okay, I get it. Quick. Because that had to be the 23 days, so I had to get it quick, right? But the point is that, well, you got to remember, like, your forefathers had a body of law before a European knew what a constitution was. Yes. A lot of times we lend too much credence into what they've done subsequently, right? So a lot of times, a lot of the laws that got enacted subsequently was for their earthly salvation. We've had bodies of law thousands of years, right? What's the oldest body of law on earth? Anybody know?
Is it the Ten Commandments?
A little older. It's where they got this from. Where they got that from? It's all stuff you can Google. The Code of Ordinamu, right? After that, it was the Code of Hammurabi. After that comes your Torah. Okay? So this is the old, this goes back to the Canaanite Empire. So when the prophet's telling you that Jesus was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites, he's taking you back to some of the oldest, most organized people on earth. Okay? When you look at your Egyptian, the laws of Ma'at, right? All of those were influenced by this, right? Because we gotta remember, some of the oldest codexes that were found in Asia, not in Africa. That law came into Africa and developed. Okay? Noah Riley taught you that too. All right? Let's move forward. Right? Verse 3. Okay, we stopped on redeem. Redeem is a legal term, but it means to buy back. You go to a pawn shop, pawn your ring, right? They give you a ticket. Take the ticket back with the money, and you can redeem that which was lost. Okay? So the prophet kind of purchased us back, the same way Jesus did years ago. It says, seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, Rome crucified him according to their law. All right? So the act of the Roman nation or the pale-skinned nations of Europe pressing or creating pressure on the Asiatic nations represents the letter of the law. Okay? There's no wiggle room in the letter of the law. Right? Right now, they're doing what they call the debtor prisons. Y'all heard this stuff? Right? The Europeans outlawed that in medieval Europe because they said it wasn't just. Right? When it was them, on them, happening in-house with them. But with the Asiatic nations, come in, your fine is $500. Can you pay that today? No, I can't pay. Well, no, you gotta do 30 days. That's called debtor prison, right? Now the key is with that, that's strictly letter of the law. You didn't ask that man the circumstance. Are you working? You know what I'm saying? Do you have a viable means of income? Can you pay a payment on it to satisfy it? You see what I'm saying? Well, why does that law exist? Because the people who think it's morally unjust don't care about legislation. Islam? You know, laws are struck down all the time. Right? Slavery was legal a long time before it was struck down by the Supreme Court, 1865. Right? Now, obviously, they augmented it to a point where it's still slavery.
Yeah.
Right? But whose fault is that?
Ours.
Because we want to be everything else except ourselves.
That's
Right? The very people who that so-called institution affected, didn't organize and make sure, go back and read that. Wait a minute, this is still slavery. You see what I'm saying?
They just accepted it.
Because they believe we're still Christians. Just forgive. Turn the other cheek. You see? That ain't what Jesus taught. You know, that turn the other cheek was for your brother. That wasn't for foreigners.
Yeah, it was.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a part of the game right there. Right? Let's go to verse 4. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad I came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of Jesus of Nazareth. Right? What does the word Nazareth mean? Because prophets give you degrees. Now, he ain't giving you words, you just be putting it there. The word Nazareth means branch. Right? Do an etymology in the word Nazareth. It means branch. A branch is connected to a tree. A tree is connected to a root. Right? So you trace yourself back. This is a branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are connected to a main body and a root, and our root is Prophet Noble Drawali. Right? You're supposed to be able to trace yourself back to your forefathers. You were supposed to never have forgotten that you were Moors. Right? But because we started believing and chasing after false gods and so on and so forth. And then what state were we in at the very end of the empire that caused us to become Negroes, blacks, and Moors? What were falling? What were we doing at the end of the Moorish Empire? To each other. We don't like to tell that story. We like to tell we were rulers and we did, okay, but what were you doing to your brother and sister? Slaving each other, right? Hiring foreign, anybody ever heard of El-Cid? Told y'all to make y'all do some work now. I ain't call y'all to hear me speak. We're going to think together in this demonstration. El-Cid. El-Cid was a European mercenary. He worked for either side, because back then it was on two sides. He was either fighting for the Muslims or the Christians. Period. Pick a side. Right? This European right here, you could hire him. Right? Sometimes he fought for the Muslims. Right? Other times he fought for the Christians against the Muslims. Right? But there was Muslims that were hiring, and back then, be clear, Muslim meant more. Right? So what the European did, and this is the European Freemasons I'm talking about, they couldn't destroy your history because they needed it themselves. He doesn't have a history. Any history that he has, we gave it to him. Right? I'm a little merciful with my brothers with the Greek letter fraternities because I understand something that they don't. Right? And the thing that I understand that they don't is the fact that there would have been no Socrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras. None of those teachers had the Moors not went in and saved those works from being burned by the barbaric tribes. Right? Went in, corrected the works, because they were just students themselves. Corrected the works and preserved them and gave it back to the European nations so they'd have a history. That's the level of thinking that your forefathers were on. Because we believed, and still do, that everybody on the planet deserves a link back to their own vine and fig tree. Everybody on earth needs to know who they are. If not, they become barbarians. Look at our people. Go to any hood in the United States of America, and I didn't say neighbor. Any hood in the United States. Look at the condition of our people. Right? And as the sister said, tell me we're ready to rule looking at our communities. Look at the property values in our communities. Right? What is, and this is their term, white flight? What is white flight? White flight comes in when it's a European, you might be a little younger to know what white flight is. White flight is, let's say there's a European neighborhood, predominantly. Say any neighborhood in Buckhead or whatever, here in Atlanta. That's the affluent European side of town, right? Let's say an Asiatic family moves in there. What you'll start to notice is European families start putting their houses up for sale. Because they have a doctrine that says, well, they don't really know who they are. They don't know civilization and culture and stuff like that. And they don't understand government. They don't understand how property values work. So they might, throw a barbecue in the front yard and fix the car, oil stains in the driveway, and, and don't act like we don't do this. So when you bring stuff up like this in these type of settings, people are like, well, it wouldn't be me. But you got an uncle or auntie somewhere that's wilding out, right? And if not, I can take you back in the neighborhood back here and show it to you all day, every day, all right? So what they do is they start putting their houses up for sale and start, going to other territories, all right? Because they know you don't have the principles of governing yourself. Why? Because they didn't give them to you, right? Because remember, be clear, that the Negro, Black, and African American and colored history began with the close of the Civil War. That's where his history starts. Islam, he can't trace himself back before that, right? We didn't know what the word moral was till Noble Drew Ali pulled the dust off it and blew it off and gave it back to us. We didn't know what a fez was. We forgot what our own royal headdress was. This was our crown. We forgot what the crown was, right? And it's a man's headdress. Sisters don't wear fezes. Sisters wear turbans, right? With a crescent pin. Now here's the thing. Generally, brothers aren't allowed to wear turbans until they become adepts. But sisters, as soon as they proclaim their nationality, put your turban on. So what's that mean?
And women rule.
I'll leave that alone. Think and say yourself. Islam, let's move forward. Verse 5. The holy teaching of Jesus was to the common people. Now that holy teaching to the common people, that's the spirit of the law. Okay? It says, to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust. Let's find out who the unjust are. That the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor. What's going on under a Trump presidency? So I just demonstrated to you on the charter that there was a lion and a lamb laying together. Where are you going to see that in nature? A lion and a lamb. Because one of them usually predator and the other one's prey, right? The prophet told us to say, if love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are carried out in this land by my people, our people, right? He said, then the lion and the lamb can lay together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed when the morning or the new day comes, right? But you got to put love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Get it going in yourself first, and then take it throughout the land, right? Then the rulers and the rich will know their degrees, and the poor will know their degrees, and they'll know how to cooperate around each other. And the rulers and the rich will know, like in the time of the Moorish Empire, right? The Sultan was like he was like a sponsor for the poor, right? So in the hospitals that the Sultan paid for out of his own pocket, not the nation's treasury, out of his own pocket, he would go around the hospital and look. What are you doing here? Well, we're trying out a new procedure that, if we can do this, we can stop so many deaths, whatever. Well, how much do you need? We need so many, like 120,000 dinar, because if we can do that, here, right? Because he was a ruler and rich, but he understood that I'm only as powerful as the quality of my subjects. I'm no sultan without them, right? There's a holy unity between the two, between the rich and poor. And we got a chapter on that in our Koran too. Right? It says, also that the lion and lamb may lay down together, and neither will be harmed when the morning came. Verse 6. These teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the Ten Commandments. What's wrong with the Ten Commandments? Anybody? I thought the Ten Commandments was a good thing.
The Ten Commandments instill a focus on morals when we're built divinely to know right from wrong.
Now, at the time that the Ten Commandments were revealed, what was the state of the children of Israel? They had fallen. Because remember, they had just came, they had just left Egypt. Now they were still in Egypt, correct? Come on, Israelites. I got some Israelite descent.
They were in the wilderness.
They were in the wilderness at that point, right? Exactly. So they were trying to burn off old desires they had learned in Egypt, right? So a body of law was given to them. I'll put y'all on the spot in there. A body of law was given to them to bring them into the new era of time, right? Acts 6 and more signs. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now. All men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. So Noble Drew Ali came to announce the new era to a people that were still stuck in the old, right? Same thing with these 10 commandments. There was ones that were still, minds were still, when Moses went up to go get the law, according to the story. Went up to go get the law, what did they do at the bottom of it? Partying, built the golden calf, went back right back to the old era, right? As we're teaching our people that they're Moorish Americans, it's not, this is a new era, and this is how we got to do it. A lot of us are still holding on to old era ideals. It's not going to fly in the new era. Islam? All right? In the new era, you have to be the message that you bring. There is no you teach it and not be it. If you're not strong in that area, don't teach it. If you haven't experienced it, don't teach it. In law, they have a thing where judges, right, if there's a case that could compromise their ethics and their standings of morality as a judge, the judge will do what? What's the term? He will
Appeal?
recuse. Go ahead, law degree. Recuse himself. Right? Means that if I hear this case and it comes out later that there's a conflict of interest, I could be kicked off the bench or charges by that. So, if he has morality, he said, I recuse myself. I can't even hear this case. Bring another judge in. Right? A lot of times we don't want to recuse R-E-C-U-S-E. We don't want to recuse ourselves from situations. We want to be the end all. I know all things. I can speak on everything. No, you can't. Not till you get strong in those areas. That's what a Moor is. You see what I'm saying? Like the first painting on the end right there. Look at that, brother. Sister, can you see that, brother, on the first painting? Yes. See that, brother? Hit it. Show them their forefather. Which, by the way, this was painted by a European. Okay? Now, that tells you how they looked at your forefathers. Right? But look at this, brother. Can we get the camera on that, too? Look at this, brother. Is there anything in his stature that tells you that he was not what he taught? He was a guard. He's guarding the palace doors, which means he's willing to give the last drop of his royal Moorish blood to protect the Sultan and everybody else inside the palace. So he had to be the message that he brought, because if not, his head could roll. Right? And it's that level of enforcement that, because it's been gone from us, you get these slick talking leaders that betray and fleece the people, stealing money, breaking their word, not doing what he's supposed to do, stuff like that. And what that does, you look at that. Thank you very much. And what does that do to our people? We get frustrated. Oh man, here another move, another leader. Right? You get tired. Right? But the point is, Noble Drew Ali gave you the standard. The reason why those movements fell, right, was because there was never a platform. We fell in love with the, personality. The persona. What does the word persona mean? Mask. We fell in love with the persona, not who that person really was. A human being just as yourself. Now, Holy Koran is a message that says, worship not man. Don't worship me. So I'm just your brother, man. Come to show you the way to the Holy One. That's it. It ain't about me, right? But I come to try to show you the way, by leaving my footprints as clearly cut as I can. Islam? All right? And it says, here's what's wrong with the 10 Commandments. Let's hit that. The 10 Commandments, when you read them, all start by saying, thou shalt. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. What's wrong with that statement? Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. What am I saying? Every time I point, the our elders used to say this. Every time you point, what happens? There's 3 fingers pointing back at you. When the priest says thou shalt, he's not including himself. That's what's wrong with the 10 Commandments. So Trump says, we're going to build a wall to stop these people. Meanwhile, he has allegations on him from a porn star. Don't you lose your moral authority to even enforce anything when you got act? What if that was Obama? Could you imagine the fallout if that was Obama, not Trump, that had the porn star allegations? Islam? See, that's what I'm saying. You can't separate morality and government. You can't separate religion and law. It's the same thing. The highest court in the land is what?
Supreme.
How does the Supreme Court open their proceedings?
Prayer.
In prayer. What does the word prayer mean in law? Prayer is legal stuff. Prayer is in, how people love Black's Law Dictionary. When you look at Black's Law Dictionary, under the word prayer, what does it say? Petition. In the state of Georgia, when you go to say, file a legal name change, right? It says the term that they use is that you're praying to the state of Georgia or the county in which you reside, that such relief will be granted. You know, that made me look, that's why praying, hold up. I looked up this petition. Right? Because remember, religion and law was one. Right? What we're mad at when we hear the word religion is the weaponized form of specifically Christianity that we all grew up in. We mad at that. We don't like it. Get that mess away from it. And I'm good, I'm with you on that. Right? But, you know, there's the thing about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You see what I'm saying? You know, all of it is not bad. The essence of it, because what is the word religiate? The word religion comes from what word? Religiate. It's Latin, right? And what does that word mean? To bind back, right? So in other words, in the ancient world, to add, okay, why was this a crime in the Catholic Church? Why was this a big thing? To get excommunicated. What does that mean? When you're excommunicated, that means you were kicked out of the Catholic Church, right? Why was that? So you get kicked out of the church, so what does that mean? In those days and times, you got kicked out of the church, you didn't have any protections because the church was the government, right? Excommunication was the same word as we have now in legal sense as stateless, right? When you don't have any nationality. Our brothers and sisters that are in Libya being tortured right now in Libya, right? Why are they being tortured? What is their nationality they can proclaim? If I'm from, let's say, Eritrea, right? And I flee a civil war and I cut up through Libya, and the Libyan citizens, what's your nationality? You know, men belada in the language. I'm Eritrean. You're not Libyan? Do you have a connection with the Libyan consulate at the embassy? No. We got something for you because you don't need to be here, right? There's no paperwork. You're not lawfully here. So if I do something to you, the Eritrean government block, well, he shouldn't have been there. He should have been home because he didn't go through the customs process. He didn't go through the visa process because there's a process. All over the earth, there's a process to get from one place to another. There's nowhere on earth you can go through without going through that process. Islam? Anyone ever traveled outside the country before? Okay. What'd you have to get out to get?
Passport.
Passport, right? You get there, they open your passport up.
Yeah.
Look at you. You have anything you want to declare? It's a master's question. What they ask you? You have anything you want to proclaim? We say proclaim your nationality, right? What does proclaim mean? To publish or declare. But you're at customs. Do you have anything you want to declare? Oh, no. Okay. Look. Okay. Business or pleasure? Business, I'll be here tomorrow, whatever. Okay. Then you get a stamp, right? And they stamp the visa which says that you will only be there for that amount of time. If you overstay and get caught, what happened? You are going to jail. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. That's a Monopoly reference for you. Come on, y'all, give me something. Right? But that's just the reality on earth, right? That's called the family of nations. See, they all get together and agree that this is what it's going to be. We're outside of that without a nationality. Islam? And Prophet Noble Ali sought to bring us, he said, come, link yourselves back with the family of nations. And when you do that, you come into an international body of law. Now you can qualify for international law, right? But you can't qualify for international law unless you answer up to municipal law, which is the law of the land in which you live, the home country. When you study, that's, I'm going to give you a reference, for those that like to study law. There's a book called International Law. It's a 900-page series. I have it. By Lassa, L-A-S-S-A, is a Jew. Oppenheim, O-P-P, that's a Jewish name for you. O-P-P-E-N-H-E-I-M. Anything by him is a phenomenal read, right? And what you do is, if you want to study Oppenheim, what you do is, you open your Holy Koran, the more science book, right? You want to test your prophet. Put this little book beside that 900-page book, and there's not a page in that 900-page book that's going to disagree with this, right? Period. Islam? All right, let's move forward. It says, let's hit 6 again. The teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the Ten Commandments. Through the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. Now he gives you the degree, what each one represents. Remember the symbols on the charter, right? The lamb is the poor people. The lion is the rulers and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree. And that's a prophet's referencing the book of Micah in the Bible. That's where that comes from, that vine and fig tree reference, right? After the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. So our forefathers' laws were holy and divine. What does the word holy mean? Is it, I'm better than condescending, I'm holy? I don't know, I don't do that. I don't know. Holy means set apart, right? Meaning that you don't do what everybody else does. What's the thing you try to teach your children, right? You know, but now you don't be no follower, you be a leader. You know, because you special, you ain't not what they are. Islam? This is what we're going around telling our people, right? No, you're not Negro, black, and colored because you're not what they said you are. You're greater than that. You know, you descend from royalty. Now, best we can come up with is you kings and queens. No, you're not kings and queens. That's an English title. We didn't have no kings and queens. Those were European monarchs. We had Sultan. What's the title given to our ruler in Morocco? Sultan. And his wife was called Sultana. Right? But the point is that we had our own stuff. But because we don't know who we are, we cling hold to somebody else's stuff. We cling to names and principles that delude to slavery. I heard that somewhere before. Noble Drew Ali. Once again. See what I'm saying? Like this man right here. I gotta go over to him. Stop right here. See, I've heard about Marcus Garvey. We give honors to Marcus Garvey, right? I've heard about Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, right? Dr. Martin Luther King. All these are phenomenal Asiatics, right? Growing up, did you hear about this man, right? Why not? What did he bring that was so threatening to the power base? Truth. Your flag, your nationality, your heritage, your vast estate. Everything that it takes to save a nation he brought. That's why you didn't hear about him. Now, it's not like they don't know who they are, who he is. I've talked to Homeland Security. They're clear on who Noble Drew Ali is. They said, we have no problem with what Noble Drew Ali taught. We're after that other stuff. I said, I'm clear. Well, y'all know we ain't teaching. Because they watch these videos.
Right.
And now literally, they watch the videos. They told me, we love how I give honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag, the green 5-pointed star that says the 5 points representing love, true people. How I did my opening, they told me my wife was my witness. See what I'm saying? Because the whole thing is that, again, right? And I give honors to how efficient they came into investigators. I give honors to it because if I was in power, I would want to know what people are doing in my kingdom too, or my nation too, right? That's the whole thing. Again, like the sister said, we're so disenfranchised. We've forgotten that you got to control an empire. You got to control a nation. Intelligence is a part of that. Intelligence is a part of that. Intelligence is a part of that. Y'all get what I'm saying? All right? Last verse. So I said now burden the Moors, and I had other stuff I was going to, but we'll go ahead and, I'll open the floor for questions and then we can lower the meeting after this. It says, all nations of earth in these modern days are seeking peace. But there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days. So when you read the Bible, that was those days. When you read the Koran of Mecca, that was those days. This is these days, okay? In these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands, right? And that is the duty of an angel, to take the message of Allah to the four corners of the earth to all nations, right? You're going to have to straighten your brothers and sisters out in the East because they've forgotten. They're stuck in old world ideals. Why do you think all that stuff like ISIS and all that stuff is going on over there? They're trying to bring back a caliphate that didn't work 1,400 years ago, right? But Noble Drew Ali came and bringing you the concept of how to function within a new era of time in a republic, right? And activate the concept of citizenship and make it work for you and yours, just like every other free national group makes it work for themselves, right? So we of the Moorish People of America, we have our own laws to bind us. That's the word religiosity. To bind us, right? That if I err, someone can hold me to account. We have our own trials. You see, the prophet said, don't take your business before the European. We ain't got no business in their courts because we got our own courts. Let a brother beat a sister up.
Yeah.
Let a brother touch one of our mobiles. Let's see what happens. You see what I'm saying? And clearly, I can't say that on camera, right?
Yeah.
But it's just we handle our own affairs. I'll give you an example. I was in New York. This is like 1992. And I was with a friend of mine. He was driving. We got lost. Got lost in Crown Heights. Anybody know about Crown Heights? Crown Heights is basically the base of where the Hasidic Jews are.
Okay.
You know, you're talking about like 40, 50 New York City style square blocks, nothing, all you're gonna see is all black, long beards, you know, the Abraham Lincoln hats and the earlocks, right? Well, we just happened to be there like 3 days after an Asiatic came flying through that in one of their neighborhoods, and it was a little Jewish boy that was across the street, and he hit the boy and killed him, right? So we come through, we're lost, right? So, you know, they kept noticing that we were circling, you know, the block. So when we came back around the block, we were met with, it was a paramilitary group of Jews. You know, they had the yarmulkes on, but they had, you know, they dressed like the brothers from the waist down, right? Armed, assault rifles, everything came out hard. Of course we're gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? Stop. What business do you have here? You know, well, we look for such. Well, that's nowhere around here, man. Make the right, make the other right, whatever, and get up out of here, right? Come to find out the little Jewish kid that got killed was the son of the rabbi of that area. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, they control their own territory, right? And you can walk around with no assault rifles in New York unless you were sanctioned to do so. They got the clearance. They went to government and they said, look, we control this. This is how much tax revenue we generate annually because we own the real estate, right? See, they played the game, how they're able to do what they do. Look at the Amish. The Amish ain't gonna suffer ever, period. I watched a documentary, not documentary, but it was a little Facebook video. And some people over in Asia somewhere, I don't know the country, and they had a little line going. There was a truck on the end, and they were pulling pineapples, passing them down the line. And I'm still watching the video, okay, so clearly they're gonna run out of pineapples eventually. And it's just pulling pineapples past them. Nature is abundant. If you don't own, see, we're so bent on the enslaved mentality that when we get hungry, we think of Walmart, we think of Kroger, we think of the farmer's market. We don't think of, let me plant and just go to the backyard. There's an elder, he has videos on YouTube, his name is Professor Mackey, he made a good point. He said, how many brothers in the room having problems with your wives? So the brothers put their hands up. Every brother put his hand up. He said, you know why you having problems with wives? He said, I'm a country boy, he's from South Georgia. He said, when your wife can look out the back door at 10 to 15 acres that you done farmed, and she can see enough food to last through the year, you ain't gonna have no problems like that, sister. Because she know her family is secure. The future ain't gotta worry about her children, her babies starving. So we have problems on our women because we're forcing her to do man stuff. Think about bills and houses gonna get paid hot. But we men know. You ain't no Moorish man. If you're a Moorish man, you gotta pay bills. You have to provide. That's what culture means. That's what nationality is, right? Taking responsibility for that which is yours, you know? And sisters, there's a prophet gave us, you know, these true and divine prophets. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. Each one of these represent different lands, you know? Palestine, Arabia, India, China, right? You start researching the land he comes from, Buddha, India. There's a deity they refer to as Kali Ma. Kali Ma, in one of her aspects, she represents the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. In her destructive capacity, she represents the mother that eats her young. The mother who has gone through so much trauma in her life that all of her teachings destroy the children. Because that exists on earth too, right? When you start devouring your own young because you can't get past your own hurt, there's no future in that. There's no possibility that you can continue in success, right? But if these teachings are applied, right? The prophet says you must promote and practice the teachings of Moorish science to build America, right? Because we love to talk about it, but we gotta live it. Once we start living it and start teaching it to our babies, we'll start seeing the change. It works, you know? We're at least about going into 6 generations out from Nobles Raleigh. You know, there's children that were born and raised, they don't know nothing but this. And you can see the glow on them that they haven't been touched by the world like that. You see what I'm saying? They're not corrupted like that. You see what I'm saying? Do they have their trials? Yes. Do they fail in some areas? Yes. Right? But they know, you know, I can't go but so far because I know I'm not that. They won't raise like we were raised thinking it was a bunch of part of language, N-words. We're not permitted to say a word. Right? But that's the whole thing. We actually thought we were that. What is that word? What does it mean? The concept of it being an N-word, the connotative meaning, right, is that it represents the wretchedness of the Moor. It represents the very lowest capacity that the Moor had become in the flesh, right? And we incarnated in this realm to master that too. That's what the word black is all about. We incarnated to go through that experience to tell humanity, you don't want that. You don't want to be no Negro. Trust us. We've been through that. Humanity's never been through what we've been through. Islam, brothers, no man on earth can tolerate what we went through. Sisters, definitely no woman on earth can tolerate what y'all went through. It's not until we realize that and graduate. You know, we want to stay in third grade forever. At some point, you got to graduate. You got to go to the next grade. You know, and the word degree, like I said, Prophet taught him degrees too. The word degree means a step. That's all it means. It's a step, right? The word diploma means to fold. You ever seen usually the college diplomas, they're kind of like this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You open it up and the actual degree is here, right? But why? Because they're teaching you something there. Because the whole science is, with that degree that you've learned, you're supposed to unfold the lesson in yourself, right? While you got that mortarboard on with this. All right, everybody turn your tassels to the, because you've reached another degree. But notice, our flares don't have no squares on it. And it's not bound. It can go 360 degrees. That's what Noble Jurali gave back to us. So we can study it all, we can have it all, just tie it, let's make sure it's in conjunction with the foundation. I don't think that's much to ask. He said he gave you a gated circle. He didn't close the circle. You want to come in through the north gate? Fine. East gate, west gate, south? Fine. Right? Just come in and be perfect. Perfect yourself, which is an ongoing process. You never really reach it. But it's something to reach towards, something to strive towards. Islam? And I'm talking about the carnal self because the spirit is perfect. Because it's eternal. Right? Are there any questions? Comments, concerns, or statements? If not, I'll lower the meeting. Islam Moors? Moorish Science Temple of America. Noble Jurali, founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical, agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Jurali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Jurali. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 All praise due to Allah, the highest of honors, to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Jurali, a redeemer and savior of humanity. Islam, Moors. Y'all all right? Made it through. Right? I know that we can be a bit long-winded. The prophet told the Moors in his instructions, he says, don't burden my Moors. Right? We have a tendency to think that we can get it all fixed in one night. You know. So I've been in them settings where brothers won't let you go. No, oh, well, explain this and break this down. Brother, you know, they didn't take the empire in a night. It took them some years to do it, right? And we have to remember that this movement is generational. If you're not in it for the long game, you're in it for the wrong reasons. If you're not in it for your, the prophet said this movement is for the young and yet unborn. And that's the mentality each generation has to pick up when they take on the mental account, I'm ready to put this fez and turban on. I'm ready to put that bay and ill at the end of my name. I'm ready to be a part and partial of the said government and live the life accordingly. You know what I mean? That's the, you know, the burden, if I can say, but it's a good burden, you see, the yoke. It's a good yoke to put on, right? Because, you know, that's the whole thing about being an adult. Most adults have a set of keys, right? You got your car keys, your house keys. Every key that you have is a responsibility attached to it, right? So you have, you know, the house key, it's rent, utilities, food, car maintenance, car payment, full coverage insurance, right? Pride gives you lessons. It gives you what's known as the Koran questions for Moorish America. We call them the 101s. We also call them keys. They give you 101 keys to be responsible for, right? So as a Moorish American, that's a lot of responsibility to walk around with, right? That each day, like, wow, you know, it's not about, I'm not doing this for my own edification. I'm doing this for people that might be watching me that I don't even see them seeing me, right? And it's like, I owe them because they're never going to meet Noble Drew Ali in the flesh. Right? They meet him through his lessons being enacted through you. Right? So I tell them, well, try to be the best you can. And if you're not there yet, right, keep it out the eyes of the public. If you're not strong enough in certain areas, if you got a smoking habit, if you got a drinking habit, you know, if you got pill popping and party going and all this type of stuff, just keep it out the eye. Don't do it with your fez and turban on. Don't do it with your L and bang. You'd be surprised. That sounds like common sense. Right? But you'll be surprised. All you do is scroll down Facebook. You see Moors doing all types of stuff. People call themselves Moors, doing all types of stuff, right? That a self-respecting Moor has no business doing. The Prophet said we're not engaged into, you know, any harmful motive that will cause detriment to the organization. You know what I'm saying? So that could be anything. It's like, you know, he said we're not permitted to do anything that will cause the public to disagree with us. You see what I'm saying? Because our people's consciousness is fragile. Because they're children in mind. Right? And just like you can't do everything around your child, you know, you tell them a particular thing, and you got your advice and you do it away from them, right? Until they get older, they might understand you about, oh yeah, mommy's not perfect. You see? It's the same thing with our people, right? They look like adults, right? They do. They look like adults, but do something. Gain their trust, and then let them down. They revert right back to children. You see? And that's an understanding that has to be taught. See, that's the thing. Moors have to be willing to come in and be taught. All the masters that you respect, if you name, not even, you know, just rhetorically in your mind, name the masters that you respect throughout history. All of them were taught by somebody. Noble Drew Ali traveled to the east and sat with the masters in the east and came back with the lessons. Marcus Garvey was taught by Adus Ali Muhammad, you know, a Sudanese, right? All these masters were taught by somebody. Elijah Muhammad had Farah Muhammad, and both of them had Noble Drew Ali. You see what I'm saying? So you must be taught. And there's plenty of ideas. There's a thing of, you know, if you're thirsty, I'm ending on this. If you're thirsty and you come to me and tell me you're thirsty, but you walked in a room with a glass of water from Flint, Michigan, right? And I'm telling you, yeah, you could drink that. You could drink it. And it might quench your thirst, but it's going to poison you, right? You might want to at least maybe empty a cup a little so I can put some pure drinking water in. Hopefully the good mix out the bad, right? And if you're really sincere, you'll pour the whole thing out, right? Rinse it out. And let me put this living water inside the cup so it won't poison you. See? In there's a parable for those who can hear. Islam, all right? And with that, I'll close the meeting. Everyone please rise, face the east, which is right ahead of you, and the tradition of your Moorish forefathers. Please hold your feet at a 45-degree angle. When you're standing on your square, your heels will be touching like this. Okay? Raise 5 fingers on your left, 2 fingers on your right. Invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, or evermore shall be. Also known as the 7 stars in the right hand. Everyone please repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
The Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Praise Allah.